Tyler James Williams.
Christian Serratos.
And we both were on The Walking Dead.
So thank you very much for joining us, both of you. And so then, what do you think is appeal to the viewers of Walking Dead that makes it so compelling in TV that you can watch every single day, every single time it's on?
I think The Walking Dead is loved because there was an enormous love for the comic book. I think that's why people tuned in. But I think what keeps people coming back is watching the dynamic between human beings and how people interact with each other and how people make the decisions they make. It's a weird sort of sociology that people are kind of obsessed with. So I think to see people deal with real situations like loss and hope and fear and what people will do to survive is enthralling, and it makes people question. And you've said this, it makes people question what they would do in their own lives, if they were in that circumstance.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what does it.
And it was very interesting from when I was researching both of you. Both of you have been in show business since a very young age, and you've both had kind of a really intense ride on this. How do you kind of keep the passion going when you've been in show business for such a long time? And it's a business that can wear on a person, the constant rejection and the constant, having to find the next job and getting said no so many times. How do you kind of keep the energy up in?
It's hard.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think, passion projects are what really keep it going, as long as we're not just, constantly doing jobs that are guaranteed to either, make money or take us to the next level. There has to be those projects that you find that creative bug again at the end of the day, because I think this can become so much of a business that you lose that, and that's why we all got into it, the reason why we got into it in the first place. So that, and just, I guess, understanding the nature of the beast, that, if you're getting 1 out of every 10 jobs, you're doing really well, and understanding that.
There's people that have worked for 20 years and have really not done much in this industry, so we're very, very, very lucky. Don't take it for granted for a second, but I mean, to be fair, there are moments where I'm sure everybody has said, I've said it, I'm sure you've said it, like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
But you deal with that not just in this world, but in most worlds. Like, no matter what your job or your love is, there's going to be a moment that you say, I'm out, even if it's your passion, your one and only love. Because if you didn't do that, you'd be an insane person. That you need to have those ups and downs and those colors in life to be a creative human being.
Absolutely.
And so we've all had those moments, but it's being persistent and working hard and knowing when something is out of your hands, and then knowing when you need to take full responsibility and maybe change something. So it's all about just keeping your head on and staying smart.
Sage advice, I'd say, on that. But with regards to The Walking Dead, now both of you had a kind of very interesting ride in the program. Rosita is still going strong, and we hope that continues for a long time. And then Noah appears in for 9 episodes, and all of a sudden, just as soon as he comes in, he's gone again. And the impact was incredible on that death scene. How did you first of all deal with knowing you were going to die? And how does then, on the flip side, Christian, you deal with knowing that your character could be, gone at any minute? How does that kind of affect you as an actor when you've got given a performance?
For me, I guess it was a little easier, mainly because I knew the nature of the show and I'd seen what they had done for 4 seasons in that aspect. So I knew that if you came in, you were bound to die eventually. The arc that I had, it was probably sooner than later. So it wasn't that difficult to kind of, I guess, cope with, as I guess it would be for some of the original cast members who had to kind of go through that understanding. So that was it was fine in that aspect. I think it sucks for anybody to go from a job that they don't want to leave from, but I knew what the nature of the beast was.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you realize you're signing up for. I mean, I think people would just die to be on this show. And so the fact that we have the opportunity to be here for even a short time is amazing. And, they say it's better to have loved and lost than not to have loved at all. I say it's better to be on this show and then go than not be on it at all.
And both characters are very strong, kind of almost role model characters. What is it like then when you come to an event like MCM and you see the response you get from the fans and the people that want to meet you?
It's great. It's amazing. You go through really, really hard days on set. It's a very taxing show on your body and your psyche. So to come to these things and to see that the fans are pleased, which is exactly what we're going through all of it for, it's fulfilling. It's incredible, and it makes us very, very happy. I have fans come up to us all the time and say, "We're so nervous to meet you." We are so nervous to come here. Like, we take like the time like away from like our friends and our family to come somewhere that, you know, and we were talking about this earlier, sometimes we have like people online that are not necessarily like thrilled with what our characters are going through or something, and so you never know what the reaction's going to be, and so to come here and to have people be very pleased by you, it's a very gratifying moment.
And what do you think of kind of the horror genre has been changed by The Walking Dead on television, and it's kind of made, it's also changed television in a sense now, because a lot more programs are able to kind of step out of the comfort zone that they used to. I mean, you never used to see, for example, Your Death Scene. If you go back 10 years ago, Your Death Scene would never have been on television. And what do you think, what is it like to be part of a show that actually pushes the boundaries and constantly even asks the actors to go out there and just leave it all on the screen?
I think it's interesting. You know, I think what's happening is there's been a shift in television in the last 10 years. You know, the 4 or 5 major networks are kind of just kicking out content head over heels without really developing it, and then you had these networks that really had time to develop some content that they really loved and were kind of following that HBO model, and you know, so we want to make some stuff that kind of pushes the boundary and realize that, yeah, this is what audiences really like. They don't want, you know, the kind of just contrived, this looks good formulaically on paper television show. And that's, you know, that's what's kind of happening now. I think we're in a beautiful place of that, where all these networks are competing and trying to keep up with one another. And keep up with that model. So we're pushing boundaries where, you know, having projects that require great acting and, you know, from the special effects and all other aspects of the crew-wise, everyone's stepping up to the plate because we just have that much more room to play.
We aren't scared on this show.
Yeah.
Like, we're not scared of anything. And I don't think people on this show are ever afraid to hear no. Not that anyone would tell us no, because we're bringing out some awesome
We'll
shit.
argue it down, yeah.
But yeah, that's the key, is not being afraid to say no.
And this season, I think, as well, for both of you, there have been some really strong moments. Personally, highlights for me was, for example, I don't know, when you were doing the scene where you finally got home, you finally got to see where your family were, and then there's a scene you just fall to your knees in the centre of your home, and just in the little work alcove, and you burst into tears. Where did you draw from on that? And then for you, Christian, when there's a scene when you and Abraham are standing in where you got the zombies off in the distance, and you're facing off against this man who you have these strong, intense, passionate love for, and it's just literally there's a blank stare from him, and you're having a real go at him, and then he just pushes you to the ground. Where did first of all, how many takes did that take to do in keeping a straight face, and then where did you draw both for your perspective? Where did you draw to get that passion from, and then for Tyler as well, the same voice, where did you get that passion from?
That scene took, I mean, I think just a regular amount of takes, like the usual amount of takes, not an excessive amount, but those are the scenes that I, as an actor, look forward to have something that challenges you, to have something that scares the life out of you, that you think at home, I don't know if I'm going to pull this off. That is what I dream of, to have that fear, because that's going to push me and that's going to excite me, and when I finish it, I'm going to feel amazing, and that's exactly how I felt when I did that scene. Acting is very therapeutic for me, and so I feel like when I have those moments, I can just release any sort of like emotions or angst or feelings that I have within me, because I tend to keep I'm very nonchalant, I think, outwardly when it comes to things that I'm going through. So when it comes to scenes like that, it's when I can finally just let it all out. So I was really thrilled to do that scene where I bucked up to Abraham, and we never broke. I mean, that's something, you have your moments on this show, and everyone, it being such a like very kind of serious show, we're all so light and like goofy on set. And so there are times when we'll be doing very serious scenes and we'll goof off, but then there are times when we all know, and we're all very in sync with each other. So we all know when it's a scene that requires our full attention and concentration, and that was one of them. And so you just, you deal with it with your family, and you help each other, and you get through it, and then when it's over, you just go like this, and then you move on.
Yeah, it was a similar thing. It was one of those scenes where on paper it said one thing, and it's our job to kind of fill in the blanks, what's on paper, and make it what it was. That day was, it was a rough day. We did that whole sequence all day long, and I think Greg was really trying to tell a lot angle-wise with the cameras. We got a lot of angles of it. Just kind of kept going at it, but yeah, it's one of those things where you have to kind of step up to the plate or not. It's not something you can really rehearse. It's not something you can really plan out. And yeah, I think it's just finding that place of hopelessness. I think that was it for me, is just trying to figure out what that's like and what that looks like and what that feels like. And then once you do all your prep work at home, you get there on the day and you throw it down and you just kind of commit and you go for it, and hopefully it translates well. And that's kind of what would happen with that scene.
I think it certainly did translate well from both of you, because the audience were just, you can, I for one felt at that point, oh my god, and then with your scene it's like, whoa, what's going to happen next? I think it's a real turning point for both your characters in their respective episodes. And the thing with The Walking Dead, I think, is very interesting because on the paper it's not a family show to watch, but then behind the scenes it seems to be a complete family show. How do you feel, both of you feel, when you got to join that family and be a part of it?
It felt amazing, but that happens day one, and you might not feel that way, but everyone's already brought you in, so it's a really good, comforting feeling, because we have to be remarkably vulnerable on the show, remarkably vulnerable, and so to do that around a group of people that are not necessarily awesome or don't make you feel comfortable is hard and near impossible. So this is exactly what we need on the show, and exactly what we just happen to have got, just out of pure luck. So yeah, I'm grateful for that all the time.
Yeah, it's. I think the key to it all is casting. I think at this point the show has, and the actors have such faith in casting that when somebody new comes in, you just automatically assume that they're down, and then that they're good to go, which is, it's yet to fail. So that's really where that, I guess, family atmosphere comes from, is we all appreciate each other's work, we're all rooting each other on, and everyone has their thing to kind of throw down. And that's what just fostered that even more.
There were Walking Dead fans out there that would have fortunately not been able to be here today. Some of the Walking Dead family that would love to come and see you. What message would you like to leave them?
That we see you and we love your support.
Yeah, we see it all. That's the thing. It's one of these shows where we can't really avoid it. I know I saw it with the death. Within 2 minutes of the death, things were trending worldwide about it. So we see it all, and we appreciate it all, and this is why we do it for you guys, and just hope that we can continue to do that and feel the love.
Well, on behalf of those that couldn't be here, and to some of the people I spoke to, thank you very much for both of you for coming and for the time.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.